Hey guys, this is Olivia from Conspiracy Queen, and today we're going to be talking about the case of H.H. Holmes, or America's first known serial killer, and let's just get right into it. So I'm going to be looking down a little bit because I have my notes down here, but H.H. Holmes was born as Henry Mudgett in May 7th, 1861. He was born to a wealthy family, and from the start he'd always been very bright-minded and interested in medicine. As a little kid, he performed surgery on animals, which we all know is very common for serial killers. Lots of them, they are just interested in seeing other things suffer. Jeffrey Dahmer also did that. It is also possible that he killed a child playmate. We are not sure about this, but there have been lots of reports saying that it is a possibility. He attended the University of Michigan as a medical student, and it was said that he was a very mediocre student, and he also almost did not graduate because of a scandal with him and another woman. In 1886, he moved to Chicago and started a job as a pharmacist under the name of H.H. Holmes. The first H stands for Henry. So soon after he started that job and moved to Chicago, he started to steal property. He then built a house known as the Murder Castle, and we will get into that a little bit later on in the video. During the World's Columbian Exhibition in 1893, he would seduce a lot of women and become engaged to them. And after that, he would murder these women so that he could take their life savings. So he had a lot of different money scandals going on. He would also have a lot of employees, and he would require these employees to write out life insurance to him so that he could kill them and then collect their insurance. So the murder house. Holmes built this house with the intention of being able to kill people in it. He had over 60 rooms that he would call his prisoner rooms, and he would lock normally women in there and keep them prisoner sometimes for months at a time. That those rooms would have buzzers in them so that it would alert him when they were trying to escape. Inside the house there was also over 51 doors that would just lead to the wall. There were chutes that would go down to the basement. There was a staircase that would just lead to a sudden drop to the alleyway behind his house. There were trap doors, hidden staircases, secret passages, rooms without windows, all kinds of stuff where he would perform awful experiments or murder to a bunch of people, normally women. During the World's Fair, he would rent his rooms out to people, to tourists, and claim that it was a cheap way that they could stay and attend the World's Fair. These people, there was about 50, a little less, we're not sure, but there would be multiple cases where people would go missing and never return home, and they would be led to this murder castle, but tracks would stop there. And I'm not sure why the police didn't look into this, because the evidence is there. He would also offer a bunch of jobs to women, and he would give it to them, offering them large salaries. But he would tell them they have to move there, withdraw all their money from the bank because they would need it when they start, and those women would never be seen again. He would also put ads in newspapers saying that he wanted marriage, he wanted a wife, and when anyone responded, he would kidnap them, hold them hostage in his castle, and they also would never be seen again. He lived with Minnie Williams for a while, as she was an heir to a large Texas estate, and that definitely caught his eye, as he would swindle people out of money all the time. And she knew a lot about his murderous ways going on. She knew about the murder of a woman named Julia Connor, where she was killed when Holmes performed a botched abortion on her. There were other women that were locked in rooms and murdered, which she knew about and would not say anything. He would also perform stretching on victims. He wanted to see how far the human body could be pushed, so he made a device where he could lock people in it and then stretch them as far as it could go. He also liked to perform live dissections on people, as he was always very interested in medicine and science, and as we know, he did go to medical school even though he was kicked out. So he was first arrested in 1893 for insurance fraud of all things, but he was soon released. He made a fire in his home, and that's eventually what got him arrested that first time, even though nothing was investigated. He wanted to collect the insurance from that. Can you hear that? There's like, that's just a radio. Okay, we're gonna ignore that. I thought for sure like something was up. No, I was gonna die. Like, is my house the new murder house? Okay, anyways, he worked with a man named Ben Pitzel. I'm not sure. Pietzel. And he worked with him to fake his own death. He had a life insurance of over $10,000. That is seriously annoying. He was briefly married at this time, surprisingly. Holmes was always such a womanizer, really. He was very charismatic, and at his time where he was working in the pharmacy, people loved him. He had a bright personality, and he always made these really fancy concoctions of drugs, really, because at this time, not a lot worked. Like, science was not the best it had been. It obviously was very early in its stages, but he was also briefly jailed for frauding his drug company. And from this, he met someone named Marion Hedgepath, who he would help Holmes with the scheme of faking Pitzer's death. Pitzel was actually later killed by Holmes, and because Holmes did want all of the money, and he didn't want Pitzel to get any of it. And so Pitzel's children threatened to tell the police, so Holmes did kill 3 of his children. Hedgepath then alerted the authorities for this fraud. We are not sure why, as they were working together, but he alerted the authorities and they arrested Holmes. He was tried for the murder of Pitzel and then sentenced to death. At this point, they did not charge him for any of the murders in the house. He then confessed to 77 murders and later confessed to 130, but it is a possibility that it could be over 200 murders, and that is why he was charged and sentenced to death in the end. And Hedgepath actually sold the entire story for $10,000. So he was able to make a profit off of this for some reason. That is the story of H.H. Holmes and the murder house. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is our first video on YouTube, so hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll be back. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. I will have my personals linked down below, as well as my Instagram and Twitter handle for our conspiracy account. So come back next week for another video. We will be posting conspiracies, scary stories, and true crime cases. So hope you guys like this video. Bye!